Ooh, are you ready for a yummy chocolate chip cookie with a tall glass of milk? I know what you're thinking. How many chocolate chip cookie recipes are out there? Well, I have another one for you, and it may be your very last one. Join me today on Cooking Made Easy with June for that recipe. It's brought to you by Macy's, the happy shopping store in Spanish Fork. Welcome to Cooking Made Easy with June, to this recipe, this cooking chocolate chip cookie recipe day. I know, there's a million chocolate chip cookie recipes. Even I have a peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. I mean, you name it, and Nestle, and they have all kinds of chocolate cookies. But this one is unique because it has additional little tiny ingredients like lemon juice, and it also has cinnamon. And so it's really weird. And then we also added some ground oats. So I'm going to show you, it just makes a tiny different texture, enhances, the cinnamon must enhance the chocolate. I don't know what it is, but it's so yummy. So I'm going to start out with doing the dry ingredients, which is what we normally do for chocolate chip cookies. So we start out with, rolled oats. So a half cup of rolled oats, but then you want to ground it. So now I've done it both to where I took a half cup of whole oats and then ground it. It comes out to about 3/8 of a cup. But so I'm just going to do it like if it's already grounded, and I like to keep this ahead because I use this recipe a lot. And I ground it and put it in a container, and so I have ground oats ready. So it's a little bit shy of a half a cup. And because when you ground it, it settles down a little bit. So we have a half a cup of ground rolled oats, and then we have 2 1/4 cup of flour. So just kind of roughly do it like that. That's 1 and 2. And then a 1/4 cup, which of course I don't have here. I'm gonna do, actually a 1/4 cup is about 4 tablespoons. So I'll just do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's a 1/4 cup. So that's the flour. And then we need to add our baking soda, which is 1 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So you can just get there's a 1/2 teaspoon. And then here's the 1 teaspoon. Okay, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Ooh. I know you think a 1/4 teaspoon will make a difference. Well, it really does. So there's a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, I think that's all of our dry ingredients. Oh wait, a teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of salt. So again, I love my little containers. So it looks a little coarse, this salt, but it's a sea salt, and it should still be fine. So a teaspoon of salt, and I'm just going to take my dry ingredients. And I learned this from another guest on the show. She's awesome, and she used a whisk on her dry ingredients, and I do it all the time now. Okay, so I have my dry ingredients there. So now we do our wet ingredients. Chocolate chip cookies are so easy. I love making cookies. And I wonder if it's because I have a convection oven where I can stick all 3 trays of cookies into it, and I can make a quick batch. So it calls for a full cup of butter. I should have doubled the recipe, but I'm just going to do 1 batch today. When I double the recipe, my bowl gets overflowing. So of course, we always, when we do baking like that, we always, like this, we always cream our butter with our sugar so that it doesn't get grainy. So we have butter, and we have 3/4 cup of sugar, and 3/4 cup of brown sugar, lightly packed. So I'm going to lightly pack the brown sugar. So I'm going to just kind of estimate a little bit about, because I didn't bring a 1/4 cup, so that's going to be about 3/4 cup. And then we have our sugar. we're going to do 3/4 cup of sugar. And then I'll just stick it to my mixer right here. That's another thing, having a mixer. It should be a staple for every newlywed. You ask for this big price item and you have a good chance that you will get it. And this mixer you will use for the rest of your lives, of your life. Because you can mix. I love using this mixer for all kinds of baked things. So I'm just going to turn it down a little bit, it's splattering. Cream the butter with the sugar. Let me get a spatula. Oh, goodness. We have our spatula. So I'm gonna see how you have to get all the butter from the sides over from the bottom. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Okay, that should be good. Now we add some vanilla. Put this over here. Let's see, how much vanilla? I love vanilla, but I'm just gonna follow the recipe today. So we have, let's add 2 eggs first. So 2 eggs. Make sure there's no shell. I should have done it in a different bowl, but it's okay. All right, here we go. So 2 eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and then lemon juice. So I'm gonna go ahead and add vanilla. One and a half. And then 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. So it's a tiny bit of lemon juice. That's it. I didn't spill that a little bit. Let's see. Normally I have my recipes memorized for cookies, but this one is a little different. So the only difference is 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice and vanilla and let's see, salt, baking soda, lemon juice, and cinnamon. Okay, so now we gradually add our dry ingredients. So you could just dump it all in, however, it'll splatter, and that's how I usually do it, splattered all over the place. I'm just going to brush off some of these flour from the spatula, and I'm going to scrape it down a little bit on the side. Oops, too fast. Okay, there we go. There, ooh, that looks so good. Now, I'm going to chop my nuts. Forgot to pull out my cutting board to chop my nuts in. Ah! And grab my knife and all my, woo. I only have these big knives. Be careful with this knife. Okay, I should have chopped the walnuts ahead of time. Now I don't see the walnuts. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add the chocolate chips. And then we will. Now the chocolate chip, there's a lot of chocolate chips in this chocolate chip cookie. There's like 3 cups. I believe it's shy. There's a little bit more than 3 cups in this bag, so I better measure. Yeah, so that's a lot of chocolate chips. So let's go ahead and add. Okay, so nuts are optional. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little break, and when we come back, I'll have some nuts, and then we can add some, and then we'll put it on our tray, and that's it. So, but come back, okay? Welcome back. I'm going to finish off the dough by adding some chopped walnuts. My goodness, I'm so sad when someone's allergic to nuts because I just love them in all my desserts. I love, and all my peanuts, of course. Now, I've heard some people are allergic to peanuts, but not allergic to other nuts. But most of the time, if they're allergic to peanuts, they're allergic to other nuts. Or maybe I'm wrong. So I'm just going to roughly chop, although if you make it a little bit more, now the DoubleTree recipe actually calls for pretty well chopped nuts, like finely chopped. So I'm gonna do that. Now, when I make brownies, I roughly chop them because I love those chunks of nuts with the chocolate. But when it comes to this peanut butter chocolate chip cookie, it tastes really great with just some finely chopped nuts. So, you know, honestly, it's relaxing to me to not use, I mean, you could use a chopper. The only thing, or a blender, but what I don't love about the blender or chopper is that sometimes, you know how it gets like really, really fine on the bottom, and then you get some big chunks. So it's just, I think it's not as uniform as if you have do it yourself like this. So you have more uniform, I think. So, but we have different opinions, so we can disagree. Okay, so I think this is about right. Most of them are about the same size. So it's about, one more time, about right, but I keep doing it. Okay, so we're gonna put in about, I'm gonna just turn on the mixer a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna move this over. All right, I think that's good. We don't need to mix too much. And a lot of times, chocolate chip cookie dough is like this, where it's very thick. And so some people, actually I remember my mom making chocolate chip cookies. She would make tons of it, as usual for an Asian, and we would just eat them for like a week. But we eat them all the time, and she would use her hands, and she would just put in the peanut butter and the chocolate chips in there with the dough. So I usually do that too. But we're on the show, so no, but we have a mixer. So now I love this. These cookies are good when they're really big. So this is a 3 tablespoon, about a 3 tablespoon scoop. It's like an ice cream scoop. So now the best thing is to scoop them out like this and put it in the refrigerator overnight and then bake it. It is amazing. It has a little crispy edge, but I didn't do that, but it's okay. We could still do it this way. If you refrigerate it and bake it overnight and bake it, then you would need to bake it a little bit longer on a lower temperature. And so, but this, I'm going to do 375, like the standard chocolate chip cookie. And since they're big, I think what I'll do is I'll spread them out. Well, let's just do it that way. It'll be fine if they touch each other a little bit. I'm going to press it down a little bit because it's a big cookie. And this is going to be so good. I'm going to put in, actually they're so big they're gonna touch. So you know what, let's put 2. Let's do 6 cookies per tray so that we can have a crispy edge and they don't touch one another. And like I said, I have a convection oven. So I'm going to put like 3 trays in at a time for these big cookies because I love big cookies. It's gonna be fabulous. So there's one there. Honestly, I think this cookie sheet is actually bigger than the average, but I think you could still fit 6 on a regular cookie sheet size. And press it down just a little bit because it has oats in there, and so it's a little thick dough. And it also has, sliding it around a little bit. It also has a, the nuts and the nuts and the chocolate chips. So that makes it a little bit heavier, a thicker cookie dough. Okay, so that's 2. Let me put 4 more on here. I cannot wait before. We have a special guest today. When I do shows on myself, I like to have little special tasters who've never had one of the recipes before. I love the first reaction of a good recipe, of the first taste. I love it. So we have a new cameraman, well, fairly new cameraman, and Brandon. He's going to be on on the tasting segment of this show. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to put this in the oven at 375 because I didn't refrigerate it. But if I did refrigerate it overnight, then I would probably do 325, 350 on your oven. Probably 350, and then you would bake it like about 15 minutes. But today we're going to do it for 8 to 9 minutes at 375. Okay, so come back. It's going to be so delicious. All right, guys, welcome back. This last batch just came out hot from the oven. Oh, goodness. Nice. And the other ones, I wanted to put it on the rack to, so that we can cool it on the rack. The difference, oh, here we have Brandon. Sorry, guys. Hey. This is Brandon, one of our new cameramen. Brandon, well, let me tell them about a little bit. So the reason why I like to put it on the rack is because then it doesn't have this texture. But that one just barely came out. So I'm just gonna put a few of these on here. Okay. But so Brandon, you are from around here, or are you from, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Wisconsin, but when I was 6, we moved to Springville, Utah. And so that's where I graduated from high school.
Okay.
And kind of grew up, so.
Kind of grew up.
I live in Provo right now, but yeah, I grew up in Springville, so.
Cool. So, but now you're working for Spanish Fork.
Yep, work for Spanish Fork 17.
We're next door neighbors, yes.
Been there since March, so.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, it's been great. I go to UVU. I'm in the digital cinema program there, so that's how I got involved with doing this video thing.
Awesome. I know my nephews, they wanted to look into that. But look at these cookies. I made them huge.
It was delicious.
And so I'm gonna take, let's see, you're gonna taste it for the very first time. Let me get you should I get you a plate or what?
Sure.
I have a big plate. Because we want to break one up, and you can eat this one. So this is a hot one that just barely came out. So let's break it in half, and maybe the camera can see how yummy it is. Oh, it's hot. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
See, so now it looks gooey there, but it's still cooking. Does that make sense as it cools? But it's still gonna be so yummy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Woo! You want hot? And we have one that's semi-hot.
Okay, I'll try the hot one.
Okay, here we go.
Still nice and gooey.
Yes.
That's nice.
Nice. I love that. Is that not the best? You have to say the best chocolate chip cookie you've ever had.
It tastes like a nice evening, when it's like snowing outside, like the holidays a little bit.
Oh, look at
really
him. Good. He's very creative thinking.
Yeah, that is delicious.
Oh, I know. I think
that walnut kind of adds a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think it's one of the
chocolatey.
best chocolate cookie recipes I've ever made. Because I'll give credit to DoubleTree Hotel because we stayed there and they give you a warm cookie every time you go. Everybody gets a warm cookie when you first check in. And I asked for the recipe and they wouldn't give it to me. And then years later, it's all online.
Yeah.
A different variation. The difference is a little bit of lemon juice and cinnamon. And I think the cinnamon enhances and the lemon juice enhances other flavors to pull out like the chocolate with the cinnamon. You love that?
Yeah,
There's
perfect.
a big glass of milk.
I'm gonna try that.
Wow. So keep eating. Now, tell me about yourself. So you said, you mentioned earlier you went on a mission. Where'd you go?
So.
For the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, and I went to the Singapore mission.
Oh.
So that's what it's called, but I was in Malaysia the whole time.
Oh.
So I know that's really close to Thailand.
Yes.
Part of Malaysia.
I've never been there. Tell me, now I heard Singapore or Malaysia, it's not necessarily very Asian-y. It's more eclectic, like this, a mixture of pots and they're British accents, right? Or no? Tell me.
You can, yeah. So there's West Malaysia and East Malaysia. So West Malaysia is near Thailand. A lot of people are very good at English, kind of have a British accent sometimes.
Okay.
You have Chinese people, Malay people, people from kind of all over the world. As you go into East Malaysia, you get Malay people, but you also get kind of a tribal people, tribal Borneo people.
Yes. What is one unique thing about that culture that you could share with us? 'Cause I've never been, and I'm not familiar. Like, what's one? At least maybe there are multiple things, but what was one thing that you thought, wow, this is Malaysian? You know what I'm saying? Different from other.
I don't know, not necessarily food, but
Okay.
they have usually two homes. So they have a home that's kind of in the city where they work, and then they have a home that's called a kampong, which is like in their village, which is pretty far out from the city. So they'll kind of rotate in between the two homes. They'll go.
I know they
for the
have
holidays.
that here, but that sounds like it's more common than there. Than like we don't have two homes. Yeah.
So they
people
it's they have like their hometown, which is in the deep village, but then they have the city where they work. So it's kind of opposite. We have vacation homes. There they have their work homes.
Very nice to do. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. So
thanks for sharing the cookies.
You're welcome. So anyways, well, maybe we'll have to come and try something else next time.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been behind the camera and I see all the food, and sometimes I get to try some, but it's fun to be on camera.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, so nice to meet you, and welcome to the Spanish Fork City. I guess I'm part of the family, even though I just do this more of a part-time thing. But yeah. So you guys, DoubleTree cookies, chocolate chip cookies. You have got to try it. Follow the recipe. I guarantee you're not going to fail, and it's yummy.
You won't miss.
Yeah. So good. So till next time, happy cooking.